Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Skyblock Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. Today we are going to upgrade massively on the Nether Fortress farm that we built in the last episode. It's not even really a farm, it's just more of a spawning chamber, I guess, and today we are definitely going to make some headway on that. So I've been doing a little bit of slime farming off camera, just making my way through the slimes that appear down there, which as you can see right now is quite a lot, and some of them are even hopping over to those campfires and dying of their own accord, meaning that while I'm up here, we should be harvesting a small amount of slime down there passively in the background, which is great. But I now have, let's see, in one of these chests, there we go, 27 slime blocks plus 27 slime balls. That's going to be more than enough to put together the farm that I want to build today, because we're going to make a series of 8x8 spawning platforms which are going to be swept by slime block flying machines. We'll need a couple of other resources in order to make sure this platform works out, and with that in mind, I have been smelting up some stone because I want to have some stone brick up in here. I'm kind of tired of looking at cobblestone right now. I've been turning that into stone brick because once you mine stone brick, it stays as stone brick, whereas if you use regular natural stone, it turns into cobblestone when you mine it. I don't have silk touch on my pickaxe right now, but I've been harvesting a little bit of that, stockpiling in here for this next little thing. We have so much iron right now, you would not believe. We have like over 4 stacks, nearly 5 full stacks of iron. That's going to be enough to create some pistons and to make some hoppers. We're going to be making a whole lot of hoppers in this farm design, and the last thing we really need a lot of is leaves, because leaves do not stick to slime blocks. And so I'm going to get my oak tree farm sorted out here. We're going to set up a bunch of trees on these little areas around here. I'm going to take down the dark oak sapling for now. Tragically, we have not seen the wandering trader in this world for a little while, and he hasn't sold me any dark oak saplings when he's showed up. But yeah, I'm going to farm a bunch of oak wood here. We're going to harvest a bunch of leaves, and those are going to be used to surround the slime block flying machine, because they are probably the cheapest non-sticky block that we have. Aside from that, we're going to need a few other components like observers. So I've been harvesting a little bit of redstone dust from the villagers and buying a bit of glass from them as well, because there are some aspects of this farm I want to be see-through so that we can take a look at it from above and see what all is going on inside of this farm. But the whole concept of this farm is going to be to get a decent amount of blaze powder that we can use to combine with the slime farm, make that into magma blocks, improve the slime farm. So basically what we're doing is farming slime so we can farm blazes so we can farm slime again. It's basically how it's going to work. But of course, along with that, we get the other mobs that will spawn naturally in the nether. We get things like wither skeletons. Even though we have 3 wither skeleton skulls right now, it's going to be nice to get a bit more. They also drop coal, and they also drop soul sand, which is going to be a vital resource in the near future. We will also want to try and set up a wither farm at some point using the end, so that we can have a wither rose farm and probably make ourselves a few farms using those as well. Things like the ghast farm that I made in the Minecraft Survival Guide would be perfect in Skyblock, where there is no terrain around for ghasts to spawn, and we can make the farm super efficient if we build it lower down in the world. Of course, the only problem there is we need to make sure that we can get enough wither roses for that in the first place. So that's going to take a little bit of doing, but that is the list of objectives as far as farms go for the next little while. I think in the meantime, though, I'm going to just get myself a few more oak leaves so that we can grab those and make the farm out of them. So I'm going to spend a bit of time doing that off camera, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds' time. So we return to the scene of the crime, or the scene of our current nether mob spawner anyway, and we are going to keep that platform there and just make a bunch of modifications to it. We are also going to build platforms on the other 4 sides of this, or the other 3 sides, I guess, on all 4 sides of this Nether Fortress tower, with the end result being ultimately a farm that we can AFK at, really. I want to make sure that we have an AFK space further down in the tower, say 23 blocks or so away from each of those platforms, so that we can have everything drop down and be gathered around the outside of the tower, where we can just swipe at it and get all of the drops. And for that, we have a lot of resources here. I've got a couple of chests, a ton of hoppers, some pistons, observers, and flying machine stuff. I need to turn those into sticky pistons, but the end result will be the same. I've got myself a bunch of stone bricks. We do still need to get, I think, some sort of unpushable block like obsidian or furnaces, but we got plenty of both of those, or at least the materials to make the furnaces. And the leaves are there as non-sticky blocks. The first thing I need to do is go in there, clear out this room, and then light it up to make sure nothing is going to spawn there while I do my work here. So that's that room isolated. We're going to be taking the roof off of it in a minute and doing a little bit of serious modification. For now, I think I'm just going to shove everything in a chest here, and one of the main things I need to do is gather enough nether brick that we can make an 8x8 platform on each side of this. Remember, we need to use full blocks is the lesson we learned last time. Thankfully, though, this design is going to mean I can remove the walls of the Nether Fortress here, and we're going to replace those with some glass, which is why we have the glass here in the first place, so we can see what's going on in the center of the farm. But the main thing is going to be digging down to the point where we have a ton of nether brick, and to the point where we have a space down there where we can AFK a distance away from these platforms so that mobs will spawn and be moved around by some flying machines. I brought a fire resistance potion with me just in case. Luckily, we didn't need it to take on that few blazes. Once you're on fire, there's really not much else you need to worry about as long as you're regenerating health fast enough anyway. And so what I'm going to do is spend a little bit of time digging here. I'm going to drop as much of this stuff as I care to in the chest here to make sure that we don't end up losing it in the void, because I could get careless and dig straight down and forget how far down we are without the F3 coordinates on, of course. And I'm not entirely certain if this tower is solid nether brick all the way down to the foundations. I would assume that it is, but it's often safe not to assume these things, and I don't want to risk falling out the bottom of it into the void. And given that this platform here is built at Y60, if I stand here half a block above that, we're at 60.5, we need to make sure that this area is dug down to 23 blocks below that at least. And so that's going to give us plenty of opportunity to acquire the materials we need to build the rest of the spawning platforms. And so far, digging out a single layer and expanding outwards to make sure that each of these walls is only 1 block thin, or 1 block thick, I guess, we now have over a stack of nether brick, so that's definitely going to be enough to make a couple of platforms out of, but I need to acquire at least 3 more stacks, so let's get on that. Okay, so the good news is this tower seems pretty solid all the way down. We have dug out to below Y37. I think that is at Y36.5 down there. There's a floor of slabs to make sure nothing spawns down there while we're up here. The other piece of news I have to share is that magma cubes can actually spawn in this space regardless of the light level, much like they did in the ghast tier farm that we built in the survival guide. So potentially you'll get some magma cubes spawning up here, but if you space torches out every other block, you shouldn't have too much trouble with other stuff spawning. Zombie pigmen, of course, can spawn in high light levels, but hopefully that should be enough to stop them spawning, and if they do spawn, then they won't really attack you right off the bat. Anyway, we are going to be taking the roof off this thing, though, so we need to be aware of ghasts, and I think I'll probably start to break up the floor a little bit here and there to make sure that ghasts do not spawn. For the time being, we can always remove these slabs later on, and the main thing is just to make sure that we don't have a solid surface in here that ghasts could potentially spawn on in the meantime. But we're going to be taking the roof off this thing, we're going to be taking the walls off of it as well, and I'm actually going to set up a ring of hoppers down around the base of the tower. We're going to be moving these platforms 1 block out, which is going to mean breaking these blocks here, and so I kind of want to make sure that I collect up all of the nether brick, but it's fine because we have this much nether brick gathered so far just by digging down that far in the tower. We've got more than enough for the platforms that we want to build. We could even build double the amount of platforms. I'm probably going to just stick to 4 today, but if you want even more spawn rates around this tower, you could probably make do with 8 platforms, 2 on each side. I'm going to use Silk Touch to get these glass panes back as well, because we might be able to use them somewhere else, and if not, we can always trade them to cartographers for a few extra emeralds. By the way, having an iron farm now is basically my main source of emeralds, because I have 3 villagers who will trade me an emerald for a single iron ingot. The weaponsmith, the toolsmith, and the armorer all have that iron ingot trade, which has been perfect for the last little while, because as you saw earlier, I kind of have more iron than I know what to do with at this stage. Okay, so that's all the glass panes collected up. I think I did lose one of them over the side, but not a big deal. For now, we're going to leave this platform, and we might end up setting up some of the other platforms around the sides in a minute as well. But the first thing I'm going to do is take all of those hoppers down and build a ring of hoppers a little bit further down the tower. I'm going to open this out so we have enough room to put a chest here on the corner. The chest is going to go underneath these 2 slabs. I'm just going to put those there for now so that nothing spawns in that space, and we need to make sure that we have something for these hoppers to go into, so I'm just going to put a block there, and we'll put the hoppers facing into that. Now, this first side is going to be hoppers right up against the outer wall of the Nether Fortress here, so we can just hop out onto those and hopefully just be able to place these nice and easily around the outside. But then once we get to this second side here, we're actually going to place the hoppers 1 block further out from the wall of the fortress, and that is because we don't want these slime block flying machines to connect to each other on the corners. And so by putting this 1 block further out, we're making sure that the slime block flying machines never quite meet on a corner piece and won't end up getting stuck together while they try and move around the platforms. So I'm just going to continue around to the next side. We're going to have the third side flush against the wall of the tower, and then the fourth side is going to be 1 block out like this one is. Uh-oh, I think we may have spawned a ghast over there after all. I'm not quite sure where that's happened, but I do not have a bow on me right now, so we are going to have to try and take this ghast on one-on-one using the ghast tennis method. Okay, well, I'll at least get out onto this platform here, and let's see if we can get that return to sender achievement now, eh? There we go, right back at you, buddy. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that was a little bit nasty there. I think what has happened here, even though we got a few zombie pigman spawns as well, is that I haven't adequately lit up that row of cobblestone around the outside there, or slabbed it off. So yeah, we left the wall there. That was a crucial mistake, but thankfully we got away with it all right. So let's put some slabs around the outside here before we go any further. I do not want any more ghasts spawning in the meantime. To be honest, I could do without the zombie pigmen as well, but they're not causing any harm right now. I just had to nip back to the overworld to get a few more hoppers to complete this chain. I guess we could probably start the chain going in the opposite direction as well if we want slightly more efficient item transport around this ring, but it's all going to end up in a chest here anyway. And this time, look, I brought the chests with me, and I'm going to put some slabs over the top of this chest because I'm honestly not entirely sure if we're going to end up getting anything spawning on top of a chest or not. I don't think chests count as full blocks, but to be honest, after the incident last time with things not spawning on double slabs, I don't really trust any of the spawning rules in this game anymore. So we're going to head back up here. We're going to start building out the rest of the platforms, and we're going to remove a row of blocks from the platform we already have up here. So like I said, this row of blocks here is going to have to go. That one is going to be where the first set of mobs falls down, and then we're going to add a row to the back of the platform here. So this platform stays 8 by 8 in size, but is just going to be, yeah, a little bit longer in the back half of it. Now I'm going to pop all the slabs back here just to make sure that we have a little bit of a guide rail and make sure that we don't get knocked off by any zombie pigmen. And then we're going to start building up around here with leaves in just a second, because that's going to be what surrounds these and keeps all of the mobs in check. So the flying machine is going to stretch the entire breadth of this platform, meaning that the flying machine component that's on the corner here is going to be supporting an arm that is 6 blocks long, made of slime blocks like so. And we'll have a 7th block here and an 8th block there, which are going to be pulled and pushed by the sticky pistons. The idea being that once it returns to this point, it will slide everything that is standing on this platform off onto those blocks down below. Remember, this floor has to be made out of full nether brick blocks, so we cannot put the slime block flying machine at floor level, which means we won't be able to trap the baby zombie pigmen, but we're going to be placing trap doors against this row of the platform, actually kind of on the inside here on the platform edge there, to make sure that baby zombie pigmen think they can just run over the edge and they'll fall down and get caught in the trap as well. But we want a sticky piston facing that way, a sticky piston facing that way, and we're going to be placing observers on the top of these facing upwards to receive a signal from a trapdoor that's going to be here, in much the same way that we have done some of these before. Now, one thing we need to do is remove the block that is affecting that slime block there and replace that with a non-pushable block, something like a furnace, which I'm going to be placing there. In the meantime, we can always swap that out for something a little bit prettier later on if we want to. We're going to place an observer facing this way, a furnace behind that, just to make sure this flying machine has another non-pushable block to rest against, and we're going to be placing a redstone dust there and a repeater here set to 2 ticks, and ultimately that's going to have an iron trapdoor in front of it so that that can activate the flying machine and send it going back and forth. Although we're not going to do that for a little while here because we don't want to activate these flying machines quite yet. There we go, there's observer number 2, and now we need to surround this entire thing in leaves, making sure that we arrange the leaves on the back wall in a specific way so that any mobs that get pushed back towards the rear end of the platform just get pushed back through afterwards. So let me grab some oak leaves here. We're going to line the walls of the platform with leaves like so, and we just need to make sure that anywhere that a slime block would touch is protected by leaves and the slime blocks aren't going to pull any blocks around with them. Of course, we will be removing the slabs and the torches from this platform as well, so none of them are going to affect the flying machine once it is operational. Along the back of the platform here, we are going to build out one more block here with leaves, and then we're going to put a gap in between this and another layer above that. So we're going to start another layer on the top here, and we're also going to start another layer behind that, so we end up with a kind of tube here made out of leaves with only a 1 block height. That's going to prevent any mobs from getting pushed up into here and getting stuck. and it's also going to mean that the flying machine has a gap to enter into and then return on its return journey. This will push any mobs that end up on this side of the flying machine through the flying machine and out to the other side. And some of them might end up suffocating in the mechanism of the flying machine here, but that's just something we're going to have to live with. The rates will hopefully be enough that that's not a big issue. However, on this side, we do need a mechanism to return the flying machine, and that's why we're going to set up an observer facing this way, aligned with the second observer on our flying machine there. We're going to place a furnace behind that with some redstone and a repeater on top of the observer here. And once again, we'll add an iron trapdoor to the front of this repeater so that it can trigger the observer on the opposite side when the flying machine makes its way back over. I've added another layer of leaves onto the top of this to make sure that the zombie pigmen can't climb over, and so that we don't have any visible gaps out the sides where blazes could potentially attack me while I'm on my way to the platform here. We're going to cover the entire roof of this thing in glass, making sure this is 3 blocks high off of the platform so that wither skeletons can still spawn in here, but hopefully that should prevent other mobs like ghasts from spawning in here, because I think they need a 4-block height. We're going to leave gaps here for the iron trapdoor above that observer and an iron trapdoor next to that repeater over there. I haven't placed a block above this one yet because that's also going to activate the flying machine and I don't have the means to return it yet. But a little bit more trading with villagers should get us the glass we need for 4 of these platforms. And strictly speaking, it doesn't need to be glass here, but it's a transparent block that mobs should not spawn on, and it also means we get to see what's going on inside the farm from above once we have this whole thing set up. I'm going to use wooden trapdoors here for now. Iron ones will be better in the long run, just in case a blaze starts firing, and here we don't want the oak trapdoors to catch fire. And if you're worried about blazes coming into contact with you at all, you can always use glazed terracotta for the sides here, because that's going to be better than leaves if fire gets involved. However, with this design, hopefully we should end up with a situation where the blazes won't aggro on the player at all, and we're not going to have to worry too much about that in the long run. Now, if I place in a trapdoor here, that's going to trigger the flying machine to go, and of course it's going to get stuck on the slabs. I forgot to remove the slabs first, but at least that means I can place this block of glass in here, open this out, and we can consider this part of the farm live for now. So I'm going to put in a row of glass here as well, so that we can take out this section here. We'll put in a wall of glass, and then once again we'll be able to see what's going on inside the farm at that point. I'm going to take out all of our torches, and we could basically switch on this module of the farm at this point. Going to break and replace a glass block here just so the flying machine can start up again, and now you should see the flying machine start to return. Anything that gets on this platform is going to be swept off into a pit below there. And once again, like I said, we are going to place some trapdoors up against the edge of this platform, but they should all just fall down into those hoppers, and some of them will take full damage, others, like blazes, will not, but we should just be able to swipe at their feet from a distance. And at this stage, the key is going to be making sure that we have half a block between us and the feet of whatever mobs end up down here, which should hopefully in a minute be a couple of blazes. And that's going to make sure that we cannot be seen by whatever mobs we are trying to hit. Yes, there we go. Got a couple of skeletons down here already. So I've disabled the platform up there one more time because I still need to make a couple more adjustments. One thing we need to do here is make sure there is a wall behind these hoppers. In fact, a wall will probably have to go all the way up to the underside of that platform just to make sure that anything that falls down here does not get knocked off by the swing of a sword or end up floating down in the case of blazes and pathfinding outwards so it doesn't fall into these hoppers at all. So we're going to have to make a couple of quick changes. One other thing we're going to do is expand this platform out on all 4 sides here. I'm probably once again going to use leaves around here just to make sure that we have something to stand on which isn't going to spawn mobs. And we're also going to add a wall of stone bricks to the side of the Nether Fortress on these ones that are extended out 1 block wider, just to make sure that we don't end up with stuff coming through here and attacking us. So I've grabbed as much stone brick as I feel like carrying, and we're going to do our best to make ourselves some walls going up here. I probably don't want to stay too far away from this for too long because it has potential to spawn hostile mobs, but for now we'll just spam a few torches around here and hopefully nothing bad is going to spawn. I think we're outside of the range of the fortress mob spawning hitbox anyway, but now I just need to build a couple of walls around this thing. So I'm going to cut away while we do that, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Oh, good lord, that took a long time. That took a long time, which is why this episode is coming out a little bit later than usual. So we now have a full wall of stone brick around the outside of this, meaning that anything that ends up falling down this gap is not going anywhere to one side or the other. Now, I need to break back into the tower here, which I should be able to do. All of these pigmen are still hanging out in here with me, and yeah, we can get to building the next stage of the farm, which is to create the other 4 spawning platforms. So once again, these are going to be 8 block by 8 block platforms made out of solid nether brick, and the reason we're building these 1 block away from the side of the tower here is that the flying machines could potentially connect at the sides. Not this one here, of course, but if we had one attached to the opposite side here, it might potentially end up colliding with some of these. We might have to move some of the leaves around as well. So yeah, we need to make sure that we have adequate space for all of the flying machines to operate at once. This time around, I'm going to make the side walls here out of nether brick, both because I can afford to and because I don't really want to see any more cobblestone. The amount of cobblestone I had to mine and smelt to get all of that into a consistent wall of stone brick was a little bit too much for my liking. But the main thing, of course, here is that, oh, this back wall needs to be made out of leaves, of course. We just need some blocks around the outside here, and I don't want to waste all of the leaves if I can manage it. Hey folks, welcome back. So I've gone ahead and done 3 of our 4 platforms here. They basically all get set up the same as this one, except with the ones on this side, and on this side, the 4th one that I'm doing here right now, you just need to push everything 1 block out, because that's 1 block further away from the Nether Fortress tower. So I'm going to pop the observer on the top there. I need enough stuff for another furnace. Luckily, I've got a bit of cobblestone with me, so let me turn that into a furnace. I think we will need 2, actually, because we'll need 1 going down the other end here. And I underestimated the amount of observers this would need, because of course every flying machine needs 2 observers, so that's something I overlooked initially, but hopefully this shouldn't be a problem. Now that actually, I think, needs to be 1 block over, if it's going to be like that. Yeah, okay, I've popped those in the wrong place. So let me move this nether brick piece there. We'll take out that one there, and then a furnace goes on top of that, the observer goes on top of there. That's how it works. And with the furnace there, we don't need to worry too much about having a furnace behind it on this side, so we can put in a piece of redstone dust there. We're going to break that piece of glass so we can put a repeater on top of it, and we can always add something over the top of that if we need to, but it shouldn't be necessary because nothing should be able to escape the farm this way. Can I get around these stairs, please? Thank you. Okay, let's pop a repeater in there. We need to set that to 2 ticks. 2 or 4 seems to be the magic number for these repeater return mechanisms, and then I guess we'll put our iron trapdoor up in here now. That's going to have an observer facing up into it, and that's going to start the mechanism going, but if we take the redstone dust out from here, if I just break that, there we go, that should stop that from moving up and down for the time being. We can put the redstone dust back, and that's no longer forming a clock with the trapdoor, so that's not a problem. We should start to see a few things spawning over there, probably just magma cubes for the time being. Placing these observers in where the glass roof is already in place is actually kind of better from my experience now, so I think we should probably do that. And then I'll come around here to place this piston facing that way. Yikes. Okay, yep, I just fell all the way down there. I was holding my breath there for a second. I kind of lost track of it. Okay, hopefully nothing has spawned on that platform in the meantime. I have a feeling we might have a couple of blazes or something to deal with at this point. Oh, okay, we're good. We made it. We made it in time. I was not expecting to fall down that, it turns out. But yeah, the whole reason for these trapdoors being here, and as I said previously in the video on this side of the platform, is so that when stuff gets pushed over here, it's not going to get stuck on the trapdoors if they were on that side, and zombie pigmen babies can actually run straight over the trapdoors into the glass wall that we're going to be building here, and then they'll fall straight down and they won't have to be pushed off the platform because the slime block flying machines are not that low. So all we need to do is fill the rest of this in, and we'll take one out here just so I can get through in a moment's time. We'll come over here and we'll set up the return mechanism for the flying machine on this side. I have actually heard another ghast in the nether. I think it may have despawned from getting too far away, but I think while I was away and coming back with materials for another one of these platforms, it may have spawned another ghast, so I might have to be a little bit careful about that. But aside from that, we should be good to go. We can put the furnace there. I should have one more repeater and one more piece of redstone dust to put in place, and that one's going to go there, and then an iron trapdoor on top of this when I'm back inside, like so. That should be this flying machine all set up and ready to go. I can put that back in there, open these up, and then fill in the wall here with glass, and that shouldn't be affecting the slime block flying machines at all. and I'm out of glass. Okay, I guess I'll make some of this out of glass panes then. This is where I curse myself once again for wanting to make this farm look pretty because, yeah, unfortunately, I ran out of glass trading with villagers a couple of times. So, yeah, we will put the rest of this stuff back in here. We'll put a lever on the end here, and we'll test the flying machine using that. So if I turn this lever on right now, it should activate the trapdoor, which locks the trapdoor in an upwards position. That all seems to be flowing nicely, and once it comes back to rest there, it's not going to do anything until we deactivate this lever, which should cause the flying machine to move perpetually after that. And that should now be the case with all of these flying machines. I just have to go in and remove the torches and reconnect the slime blocks where I've pulled them apart here. Oh, and we need to put some trapdoors on that side as well. I guess some of those are going to have to be spruce unless I've got any more oak in here, which I don't. Okay, maybe I'll come back with some oak later. I do kind of like these things all looking the same, looking kind of uniform. I'm not entirely certain if the flying machines are going to be able to deal with magma cubes okay. My hope is that the slime blocks and some of the mechanism here will actually end up suffocating most of the magma cubes, and then the small ones will be able to fall down there and hopefully will end up falling to their death. But it might end up being the case that we need to come up with some other solution for magma cubes in the near future. Now let's push that closed. That platform should be all good to go. Let's give the flying machine a quick test. Ah, we haven't put the iron trapdoor in that one. I knew there was one other thing I needed to do. And now that's all locked up and is in place, we should be able to put this lever in the upright position. There we go, and that should now activate the flying machine. Perfect. This one over here just needs the torches removing, and the same thing can happen there. And while I'm at it, I'm going to make a few more cobblestone slabs so that I can fill in this area here so we don't get any spawns while I'm away from this machine. And I need to make sure that all of this lot is slabbed off like that. We should be able to get up and down using that staircase, which is all made of lower half slabs that shouldn't spawn anything anyway. Okay, that one should be good to go. And not only that, I got a couple of oak trapdoors back from that because I forgot I used those originally. So I guess we will put those over here as well. One that side and one that side, and that should take care of that for the foreseeable future. We could always add in those last two trapdoors if we want to. Right, the only thing that seems left to do is to maybe light it up on the interior a little bit, but I kind of want to make sure that these farms have decent rates. We'll activate all of the flying machines at once, which we could maybe put some sort of master switch for down below if we want to, and then I will need a bunch of slabs, and we'll need to slab off anything that we have downstairs that is not already slabbed off. So let me just quickly make a bunch of stone brick slabs for that. But once we are down here, we should start to see some stuff arriving on these platforms, and it shouldn't be able to go anywhere because it should all have... Yes, there we go. We got our first wither skeleton almost immediately. That's great stuff. It sounds like we got some blazes coming down here as well. A couple of skeletons dying there. Oh, we need to fill that in. That's probably a good idea, isn't it? And wow, it seems like we are getting a lot of mobs down here already, and I need to make sure that all of this is slabbed off just so that the blazes can't see us when we get up close to kill them. We should just be able to tap them a couple of times with the sword. Most of this stuff will have taken full damage on its way down, but I have a feeling... Yep, no, the zombie pigmen are going to be a one-hit kill. That's perfect. The wither skeletons look like they're a one-hit kill as well. Now we have these blazes down here. They are taking a couple of extra hits, but that's not a big deal. I might take out this section of slabs in the center here and maybe replace this with a set of slabs a little bit further down, or maybe just cover the entire thing over with leaves. But it looks like we are getting a lot of wither skeletons and a decent amount of blazes. Oh my word, look at the amount of wither skeletons though. This is incredible. This is actually really, really great. The blazes are coming in by the bucket load as well. This should be a great way for us to farm coal and soul sand and even other types of fuel like blaze rods. We should be able to get a decent amount of gold from the zombie pigmen here as well. Absolutely fantastic. I think I just saw at least one with a skeleton skull go into the hoppers as well. Hopefully all that loot should be making its way into this chest. And once we're done with mobs on each side of the farm, another set of mobs has dropped on the opposite side. So this thing is working splendidly. Another great part of this is that all of the zombie pigmen that fall down here are a one-hit kill, meaning we shouldn't aggro any other zombie pigmen that happen to spawn in the vicinity, but hopefully we have done our best to spawn-proof this entire area, and this shouldn't be as big of a problem after all. Okay, looks like we have a big magma cube that got broken up into lots of little magma cubes. That proves my idea that hopefully this thing should start breaking up magma cubes just by virtue of them getting caught in the flying machine every now and again. That bouncing motion they have should take them into the flying machine every so often. I've been down here attacking these mobs for maybe 5 or 6 minutes now. Let's see what we've got building up in the chest. Oh, wow. Look at that. For a start, 5 wither skeleton skulls in that space of time. Phenomenal. We've got a little bit of building material in here as well that I can salvage, but we've got nearly a full stack of soul sand, a bunch of stone swords and stuff. Of course, we can get rid of those, but look at the blaze rods coming in already. Over a stack and nearly a stack and a half of those. We've got plenty of coal there as well. We could start making coal blocks if we wanted to. We're getting gold from the pigmen as well, of course, and a little bits of nether furniture coming in there as well. Some glass that I will take with me. This farm is working splendidly, just as we planned it. Absolutely phenomenal. And I think here, surrounded by all of these mobs, is where we're going to wrap up for today's episode of the Skyblock Survival Guide. I do hope you've enjoyed the look at this farm. Build it yourself in your Skyblock worlds. It will be absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching. My name's been Pixlriffs. Leave a like on the episode if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.